Hi guys, welcome to this session in Microsoft Excel. In this module, I want to show you how you can quickly create a course planner, room booking planner in Excel. So first of all, what I want to do is get myself some extra sheets down the bottom here. So I'll just do 4 so you can see it, and then I'm going to name them Jan, Feb, March, and then the total sheet. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to group the sheets so that whatever I type on the first sheet goes through the rest of them. I'm not going to use the total sheet, but for January and February and March, so I'm holding my shift key down, I'm going to click on March. That's grouped them. You can double check that it has grouped them by looking for the word group at the top there, next to where it says book 3 on mine. And then now whatever I type is going to go on every sheet. So in cell A1 I want the word date. So date, and then I'll just make that bold so it stands out a bit. And then underneath that I'm going to put the date on each month, but not yet. I'll just colour that in so it's the same colour on each sheet. Now, so what I now need to do is create my plan. So the first bit is going to be a date, and that's going to be like a date, and I want 12 spaces per booking. So in here I'm going to put trainer. I'm then going to put course. Then I'm going to put room, so like location. And then I'm going to put booked. And then spaces, how many's left. And then capacity. And then I want a column for delegates. And I want a column for revenue. So after revenue, I want some checks. So after revenue, I want some check boxes that I can tick off when I've done a process in regards to this booking. So I'll just say PO and then invoice and then confirmed, like so. So these will be check boxes, but I want 12 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'm going to merge that into one because there's going to be 12 delegates. So the course can also come across, so can room. Now booked is going to be a number, so I can pull that across. So is spaces, so is capacity. Delegates is not. So all of those are going to be merged. Likewise, the date area can be merged. And what I'm going to do is put some grids on here so I can see what I'm doing. So I'll just grid this bit off, border. So you can see the borders there. So delegates, if I move that over a bit, that's going to be people's names. This is going to be the date, so I'll put today's date in there, which is a Sunday, and I need that sitting in the middle, like so. And then I want some lookup lists here. Now I haven't got a sheet for lookups, and if I go and create one, it's going to ungroup these, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do it individually on this sheet. So if I go to the data tab, go across to data validation, and then where it says any value, I'm going to click on list, and you can actually type a list in there if it's not too many. So I'll just type 2 people, Steve and Dave. That'll be my list. So now I've got a little drop down list, and I can select Steve. Again, that needs to be in the middle, like so. And what I'm going to do is copy that format into this cell, and again into the room, and in fact all of them can have that. Now I'm going to say the capacity for this room is 12, and what I need to do is if somebody books, I want it to come in there. So I need to do a couple of courses. So I'll do another data validation list. So data validation again. This time I'll just do 2 courses. So I would have these as a list on a separate sheet normally. So Excel and Access. Nobody likes Access anymore. Seems to be a dying thing. I'll go for Excel, and then same for another list for rooms. Say I've got 3 rooms, room 1, 2 and 3. Do a list for that. 1, 2 and 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so select a room, room 1. In the booked column, I need a formula that's going to look at this. So I'm basically going to do a count A. I'll put a delegate in there. So I'll put John. And then in there, I'm going to go equals count A, which will just count text in this column. Don't need to close a bracket. I'll just click the tick. It comes up with 1. So spaces needs to be equals capacity minus the booking. So all that is like that. So if I have somebody else, Bill, that will automatically change over. Now, I didn't mean to type that down there, but I'll get rid of that. So there's 2. I also want a percentage fill column. So I need to insert another column here. Just insert another column. And it should merge that one. Back to home. Merge. And this is going to be percentage filled. So this is basically going to be equals that divided by capacity, which is 12. Tick that. Comes up with that. Make it into a percent. Now let's just check this. If I pull Bill down so we get 12 all the way down to the bottom, that should go to 100%, and it does. So that's okay. So that's working. Bill with 1L. Now let me just fix that because it's annoying. Okay, so I've got a percentage, capacity, and I've got that. Now revenue is just going to be a column that is going to have money in it. So for this person, let's say John pays 200 and Bill pays 200, like so. Now in this area I want checkboxes, so I'll highlight that and go to the Insert tab and select checkbox. So we've got checkboxes there. So we've received a PO for both of these, we've sent an invoice, and it's confirmed. So I'm ticking those. That's what that's for. Just little checks for yourself. You can create more if you need. Now I haven't pulled down an extra date, but what I've typed here is going on every single sheet, still grouped at the bottom there. What I'm going to do though is just pull it all down one separate cell or separate block. I'll come down one, and I'll just delete the stuff off this second one. So I've got all of that and nobody on there, no courses, no room booked, everything's blank. Now I probably need to block this off slightly different, so I'll change the color on it, go light green or something like that, and leave that one white. So on this second block, what I want to have is how many dates have I done training. So at the moment I've just got 1 day's training, and I've got no analysis going on at the top here, and I just need to make myself some space. If I just highlight and insert a row across the top, so I've got some space. So I want to total up revenue. So this obviously this would be for the whole month. So if I just do myself a little title at the top there, So you're going to do a sum underneath that of all the revenue. Now the revenue is going to be all of this added up. Now I haven't got a total column, so that's what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to insert a row. So I've inserted a row, and this bottom row doesn't need these on, so I'll just get rid of these, delete those off. So I need to colour this in slightly different, so it's not the same colour as everything else. I'll go orange, because in there I want to do a total of all the revenue, and I want to do a count of all the delegates, even though I've got it there. So if I just do the sum function on this one, key command for sum is alt equals, and then it just grabs that, click the tick, comes up with £400. So now this is wanting to be the total revenue, so I don't just want it to get that, I also want it to do this as well. So that's just going to be, I can copy that actually, copy, paste it there, it comes up with 0, test it out, 1 1 1 1. Okay, so at the top, and then you keep doing that all the way down. At the top, I want this to add up just the totals, the summary for each course. So this is going to be sum, but I don't want to grab everything. So it's going to be that cell. And then as I come down the sheet, I hold my control key down and then click on that cell and then tick that. So it's just going to add up those two cells. So at the top there says 411, which is correct. Just colour that in. You can see it. It's added up the revenue. Now I want to count on these delegates. So that's going to be count A as well. So equals count A. There we go. Okay, so that's working, and then I can copy and paste that down for the rest. Copy, paste. There's none on that one, so that's okay. Now percentage fill, let me just grab this and push this up there. So you can just do this. I'll put it that side, holding my control key down before I let go, and then that will copy that. And then here I'll do the orange. So before I can do percentage filled, I need to edit these formulas a little bit, because I'm going to copy booked up there. I want that up there. I'll just copy that with my control key, and I want capacity up there. Now I'll just colour those two in orange so it's the same. So on the booked column, that's just going to be adding up this column, so I can just do the sum function there. Alt equals is the sum function, and basically it's going to highlight those two and tick that. That's just going to tell me that there are 2 people booked. Now capacity is looking at this column, so in the capacity I'll do alt equals, which is the key command for the sum function, and then just highlight the capacity, which is going to come back with the total capacity with 24, which I don't want that to be 24. So what I need to do in this column is get it to show 0 if there is no date. So if I change this, instead of just a number, to an if, so I'll go equals if that equals 0, which means there's no date, comma 0, otherwise 12, like that. And then if I tick that, I still get 12. I'll pull that down. Okay, so I don't want div 0, so again I need to do an if statement on this. It's going to do the same sort of thing. So if there is no date, so if that equals 0 this time, comma 0, comma, otherwise do that little sum, and then close the bracket, tick. So that should work. And if I copy that this time, that's worked, and then just change that color back to green. So now we're only getting that to add up. So the capacity there is just saying 12. So now the formula here is just going to be the same. So it's going to be the same as this. I won't bother with the if. So equals that divided by that. And then I'll just tick that formula, and it should be 17 because that's 17. There's nothing going on down here. Now, just to check that works, if I do put a date in there, see that went to 24. I won't bother filling that in, but let's just put some people on here. I'll just type Bill and Ben. So there's 2 people. So that's 17. So the whole thing's coming up with 17. Now if I pull that down so it's 100, that one's 100. Altogether we're 58%. Now if I pull that down half, so it's 50. 75% complete, which is what that is, if you add those two together. So that is working okay. So we've got our little summary at the top there, just tidy that up a little bit. Where's my borders tool? So everything's okay at the moment, but let's have a look at what we can do on the total sheet. So all these are still grouped. If I click onto the total sheet, there's nothing on the total sheet. But if I go on to Jan, that's January, February, March, you can see everything's the same. So if I regroup these with the shift key, and then let's just clear some of this data off. So basically come out, get rid of all this. Nobody's booked, so let's delete this. And let's delete this information. So what I'm going to do is just copy the labels from any of the sheets. I'll just copy that, put them onto the total sheet, and then do a formula that's going to pick up the rest. So if I go sum, and then go onto Jan, click on the pound sign, hold my shift key down and click on March, and then tick, and then pull it over. That's going to be money. I'll just make this a bit bigger. Okay, now just to test this out, if I go back to January and put a date in there, and then add some people, I'll just type Bill again, and revenue £200. So we've got 12 people. Let's have a look at the total. So that's coming in. Percentage will have to be deleted and done the same way on this total sheet, so I'll get rid of that. So that's just going to be equals how many booked divided by capacity, and then tick that, and then make that into a percent, 8%. So again, you just block this off, colour it up, whatever colour you want, and then if you want, you can have a little chart on there. Alt F1 is a key command for a column chart, but that probably is not relevant because of the percentage. You've got that percentage there. So if you don't want the percentage, you highlight the columns you do want with your control key, and then do Alt F1. So you're basically missing out the percentage. So that's don't need the title for that. So that's basically the summary of the whole thing. If you wanted to, you could just have it looking at each month and have that totaled up on this sheet, but for now I'll leave it like that. If I go into February and I put a date in February, it'll be the same date, and add a few people, add Steve. I've got a list, so if I if I type it right, I've got a list. I can just pull these down, and they can all be spending 200 quid. Like so. Widen the column, leave that blank, go to the total sheet, check that that's picking it up. So 2 courses, capacity 24, one on January, one on February. Booked, yeah, 7 on there, 1 on there. So the total sheet is picking up all the summary information. So that's all I want to talk about in this little video, is how you can create a planner using group sheets to get things sorted out quickly, and how you can automatically clocking up what you've booked, what your revenue is, what your percentage filled rate is against capacity, and having a little chart at the end to see how that looks visually. So hopefully this little video is of use. Thank you for your time, and I'll catch you on the next one.